Basel III and Bretton Woods, behind the scenes of the global financial transformation. Have you ever wondered how the global financial system was shaped to concentrate power in the hands of a few? And why now, decades later, the world is talking about a new silent economic reset, with names like Basel III and Bretton Woods III gaining ground. Today, we'll dive into a journey through the historical milestones that defined the modern economy, and how each step was part of a grand planned machine. Stay with me until the end, because there are surprising connections that you need to know. The prelude: when gold was silenced. Long before Bretton Woods existed, a silent event changed everything. In 1933, in the United States, citizens were prevented from exchanging dollars for gold. This measure, signed by Franklin D. Roosevelt, was more than an emergency measure. It was the beginning of a systemic change. Gold, a symbol of real value, began to lose ground to state control over the currency. There was the seed of a system based not on tangible wealth, but on fiduciary promises. And that was just the beginning. We're back with the behind-the-scenes look at Bretton Woods and the silent rise of the dollar as a geopolitical weapon. Don't leave it there. Bretton Woods, the alliance that redesigned the game. In 1944, at the end of World War II, representatives of 44 nations met at the Mount Washington Hotel in Bretton Woods. The goal? To create a new international monetary order, with clear rules and exchange rate stability. It was there that the idea of a world anchored to the dollar, and the dollar pegged to gold, was born. But this pact, which seemed fair and balanced, hid a trap. By placing the dollar at the center, the United States gained unprecedented economic power. This agreement gave rise to two influential global institutions, the International Monetary Fund and the World Bank, entities that, from then on, began to dictate the economic pace of developing nations. The break: when the U.S. abandons gold. In the 1970s, confidence in this system began to crumble. In 1971, President Nixon severed the link between the dollar and gold, unilaterally ending the exchange of paper money for reserves reis. The system collapsed. Bretton Woods collapsed. The era of unbacked fiat currencies was born, a world where the value of money came to depend on trust and no longer on a solid foundation. In the next part, the birth of the petrodollar and how it replaced gold as the engine of hegemony. If you think the story ends here, just wait until you find out what comes next. The petrodollar, fuel for the new order. With the collapse of the gold dollar system, the U.S. signed a strategic agreement with Saudi Arabia. The petrodollar was born, a new anchor based on the requirement that global oil be traded exclusively in U.S. dollars. This move guaranteed decades of U.S. economic supremacy. But it also accentuated global dependence on a single currency, making countries hostage to decisions made outside their borders. The phases of a long-term game. What we saw were not isolated events. Each stage, from the withdrawal of gold to the creation of the IMF, including the petrodollar, laid the foundations for a centralized system managed by financial interests above national borders. Today, with the emergence of Basel III and the discussion of a new Bretton Woods III, it is impossible to ignore. We are living through a paradigm shift. But the question remains will the system be fairer this time, or just a new face of the same control? If you've stayed this far, congratulations. You now understand the real behind the scenes of how money lost its ballast, and why the world is about to redefine its economic foundations again. In the next episodes, we'll talk about Basel III, sovereign digital currencies, and the new financial landscape that has already begun to form. Subscribe, turn on notifications, and come be part of this new global financial awareness. For those who have just arrived on the channel, welcome to this family, and to the partners and family of the official Gesara channel, our affection and thanks. We remain firm and confident.